Plausibly live from the corner of 75 and 121 here in McKinney, Texas. My name is Chad Carnes, and welcome to episode 1 of Dynamics Chatter. This is a functional show for functional users of Dynamics 365, Dynamics ERP, Dynamics for Operations, Dynamics AX, whatever the heck we're calling it today. I want to welcome you to the first episode. We do 3 segments, 365, 3 segments, about 6 minutes each. And the last segment, we do our favorite 5, which is my favorite section. So we strive to do one thing, which is educate, try to be smart, and we try to entertain. We try to be funny. So we think that you'll pretty much forgive anything for smart and funny. So let me introduce you to the funny now. My producer, the guy running the board, my best friend, my turtle, a guy who has more degrees than any 2 people you know without actually being a doctor, I don't think yet. Or anyway, but let me introduce you to AJ Smith.
I'm the doctor of love.
Oh, dude.
I'm the doctor of the sweet vocal.
I really want to rename you Dr. Turtle. So let's just get this out of the way. Please email us. Email the show at dynamicschatter@gmail.com. That's an S, dynamicschatter at gmail.com. Or you can hit us up at Twitter at dynamicschatter. But please, if you email, we will read it. We will answer it if it's smart and funny. That's our one rule. And please, what I'd like to do is, I'd like to get Dr. Turtle here. By the end of September, please email us your best name for AJ. We're going to let the audience, we're going to let you name the co-host. Keep it clean, keep it respectful, but smart and funny.
AJ is a great name, but we'll see. Vox Popular. We'll see what people say.
You're listening to Dynamics Chatter. Now your host, Chad Carnes.
All right, well, today's going to be our worst show, Age, because I am going to be the first guest on the show. So this will be the worst guest we ever have. Probably the worst show we'll ever do. But in the second segment here, we will talk about my favorite piece of functionality in all of AX, which is Power BI. I'm going to show you how you can take inquiries and the right data in AX 365 and how you can surface that all the way to your phone and how you can create Power BI models to give you the reporting and the return on investment that we've always wanted out of an ERP. And really, that's why we created the show, because I want you to think differently about what's possible with ERP, what's possible with Dynamics, and also just we'd like to bring a smile to your face. Hopefully, if you're in the car or if you're at lunch or just taking a break, you can watch We're going to have it on both YouTube, and we're also going to surface this as a podcast. So we're going to try to do it in a way that you can consume it through multiple methods.
Well, let me take the reins here. I hear we have,
and this will be the last time that we let you ever take the reins, by the way. And I need you to not do a very good job here, because I'm going to be doing what you're doing probably the rest of the podcast, or at least for the next 3 episodes until our 4-episode deal runs out. Yep. But I need you to slow play this so that I look better when I bring on our very first official guest next week.
Sure. Well, I'll see what I can do to dumb this down. But I'm feeling confident, feeling good.
Setting the bar high there, huh?
I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling good, because I hear we have a great guest on the line. Yeah. I'd like to welcome to the show your soon-to-be consultant, your soon-to-be expert on all things Dynamics, all things AX, making things work for you. This is Chad Allen Carnes. Chad,
hey, thank you for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Thank you for having me on the pod.
Hey, we know you're an expert. How did you get to be the expert you are?
Expert's relative, but basically, I'm somebody who is basically done everything wrong, so I now know what to do is right. And the other day a client was like, "Man, you figured that in 5 minutes," and I'm like, "No, you should have seen me spend 3 days of my life trying to figure that out. I just happen to know it now." But an expert's all that is somebody who's done everything wrong. So I've done most things wrong, so I'm hoping to try to save people from that. But I worked for the number 1 partner in the world for about 6 years and got my education. The last year and a half I spent creating my own business, doing everything from pre-sales all the way to the back office. So there's not a lot I haven't seen or done in that time frame. And before that, I worked for the Big Four and was an accountant and realized I needed to never do that again. Those that can't do, go and teach, right? Become consultants. So that's my background. But I have a passion for community. I have a passion for trying to make this product better, trying to make people better. And as I've worked over the last year, I've worked with I've come in behind partners or behind other consultants, and it's not to be critical, but there's certain things that we can do better, all of us. And with the new version of 365, I'm really, really going to push, let's think differently about what's possible, because what you're about to see in the functional version is in 6 minutes, I can show you how to take data out of AX and put it on your phone. I mean, mind blown. I can put 1 million rows of data on your phone. It's just, we got to start thinking. We can't. What we did 10 years ago, we've got to think differently about it.
We've mentioned that you now host a award-winning, soon-to-be award-winning podcast and YouTube show called Dynamics Chatter.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part was trying to find a host. I mean, we talked to several people and finally
all the top people.
Yeah. No. Yeah, my host is like the co-host is really holding the show back, holding it down, I think.
Obviously. So with the new show, what are you trying to do? Where are we going with this? Why?
Yeah.
Why entertain? Why educate?
So a few years back, I did a webcast called 5 Good Minutes in Microsoft Dynamics AX, and I loved it. It was fun, but it felt really constrained. And there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of blogs. There's some great podcasts, and really the Dynamics podcast. If you haven't listened to it, it's fantastic. Those guys are wonderful, and they inspired me to do this. But there's a lot of good content out there, but not always for the functional everyday person who actually uses the ERP. It drives me insane. Like you can find a lot of technical things and a lot of things about the new release coming out, but I just want to make people better accountants, better clerks, better warehouse managers. This pod is a functional pod for functional people, but I also think that developers will get a lot out of it, because you're going to learn, oh man, that's how a sales order works, or oh, that's how a debit and credit flows through a voucher. I want to build a piece of community that people can come together with ideas and come and have a place to discuss their problems, their issues with something we all love and we all use.
Well, I hear you're going to keep it short and sweet. I hear we have a plan to get people in and out, show them a good time.
Yep.
What's the structure of the show?
Yeah, three segments, 6 minutes each. We're going to do a guest in the beginning, 6 minutes of the guest. And really with the guests, I want to find out what makes people tick. I want to find out what makes people successful in whatever it is they do. The next 6 minutes, we're going to have a real-life functional session where you're going to learn something new, and it may be small, it may be big. Today's a pretty big concept, but that's really what I want to do. In the last 6 minutes, we're just going to have fun. We're going to do our favorite 5. It's going to be maybe my favorite 5 things about Dynamics, my favorite 5 restaurants to eat at when I'm rolling around, whatever it might be. But we're going to do that with the guests, and I'm going to do my 5. They're going to do their 5. And I'm a little bit nervous about today because you're picking the 5s, and I have absolutely no idea what you're going to do, and you wouldn't tell me. So I'm a little bit nervous about that section of the show.
Yeah, stay tuned. Juicy stuff, and all. And it's gonna make you laugh. It's gonna make you cry, and it may not make you cry. Maybe just laugh.
Yeah. The part about it though is like, for some reason I feel like we're only on episode 1, but you've already hijacked the show. You're already hosting. I mean, you are the Stu Gatz to my Levitard. Yeah.
I won't be. I mean, we can take that in several different directions. But I'm focused on the show here. I'm here for you. I'm here for our audience.
I appreciate it.
I got one last question.
Yeah,
we know everybody here knows Dynamics at some level.
Yep.
We know they're competitors. Why are you excited about what Microsoft has to offer?
Yeah. No, everybody's out there competing and all that. But really, my goal with this is that we're only successful as a community if we're working together. If AX fails or 365 for operations fails, none of us would be able to pay our mortgage. And really, I'm a big fan of, I don't want to call it open source because that's not really the right word, but I've always found that when I help or when I collaborate with somebody, when I give back, that comes back to me sixfold. And that's been kind of my philosophy. I also want to help the person who's sitting there in a cube somewhere who is just frustrated because whatever it is isn't working. And here's a tip that says, oh man, I just made my life better. Also too, again, we want to do it in an entertaining way. We want to make this funny. We want to make this enjoyable. And we want this to be a place where people maybe laugh a little bit and then also learn something.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Chad Carnes of Dynamics Chatter and Empower AX, your solution and consultant for all your Dynamics needs.
Yes.
We're
not advertising. We're not advertising on this show. We're just content. So, but yeah, H, can I take my host spot back now?
All yours, buddy.
All right. Hey, well, we'll get out of here. Thank you so much that was segment 1 in the books. We'll get out of here. We'll go ahead and kick it over to the functional power of segment 2. Thank you so much for joining us, and you're listening to Dynamics Chatter.
Dynamics Chatter Functional Power Play.
Welcome back to episode 1 of Dynamics Chatter. In this blog, we're going to stay with the theme of just challenging what's possible. And in 12 minutes, we're going to do half of it in this blog and half of it in the next blog. But in 12 minutes, I'm going to show you how you take the right data and how you can take that out of your ERP or out of Dynamics, put it into Power BI, and how we can see that on mobile applications. And how tools like this need to change your perception of what's possible and need to change how you approach how we implement and how we use Dynamics 365 for operations and all of the Dynamics AX Dynamics functionality. So let's go ahead and jump in. So go ahead and open up Dynamics 365 here, and I'm in the role centers, or what we used to call the role centers, which we now call the workspaces, which is my favorite place. And in the old world, we used to have role centers, and I think workspaces are what we always wish role centers were. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the vendor invoicing entry workspace here. And this is where a user might come in to enter an invoice or see anything AP related. Okay, I clicked on the invoice journal. This is the grid that I want to use. I want to surface this in Power BI because it's got every invoice, it's got all the amounts. Okay. The other nice thing that I like is in AX's or in the new 365 for operations is the search button. Okay. I could navigate over on the left side to the invoice journal, but I can also just search for it. Again, this idea of workspaces greatly challenges how we approach the ERP. But so as you see, I went through it. I went to the invoice journal through a link in the workspace, but I also navigated to it through the module that we've used in the past. All right, so now how do I get that data? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I went into Visual Studio, open it as an admin, all right, and I'm going to add an aggregate measure. Okay, what I like to do though is I like to create my own queries, my own views underneath these, but you could use the Vend Invoice Journal. You can figure out what the source of the table is, you figure out what the base table is, okay, and I'm going to create a new aggregate measure here. All right, and this is how we would do it. And we create it in a project, in a solution. But as you can see, I've already got one created here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is there is 2 types of aggregate measures. There's in memory, and then there is a staged entity store. Okay, I'm going to do in memory for now. We'll talk more later about the store. Okay, but the next thing I want to do here is I'm going to pick a source. Okay, I pick a source of it could be a table, it could be a view. And that is the basis. Okay, so there's 3 sections in an aggregate measure. There's attributes and measures. Okay, and then there's these things called dimensions. Okay, so I'm actually creating a new attribute here, and that attribute is being brought in from the view. Okay, so I could bring in something like invoice ID, vendor, date. I could bring in all of these different attributes. Okay, measures. Okay, going down to the measures section. Measures are things that we can quantify. Okay. And the key thing about the attribute that I'll remind you is make sure that you fill out both fields, the name field and the field below. Sometimes I forget that and it'll throw an error at you, okay? With the measures, these are just like in the old world, we used to have these things called perspective. And I'm getting super technical here, but I just want the functional folks to have an understanding of how these things get here. Okay, the next thing is dimensions. These are what we call aggregate dimensions. These are kind of master tables that we can bolt on to the aggregate measure. You know, in the old days, we used to have to put that all the way down in the query at the lowest level and build everything in we wanted at the bottom. Well, we don't necessarily have to do that anymore, and it makes our data sources lighter and faster to use. Okay, so I bolted on vendor there. So then, like at the top, when I go to the aggregate data entity here, the next step, I could bring in the vendor name or different attributes related to the vendor master. But I took that out. But go ahead and now I go up to the aggregate data entity. Okay. The key thing here is you want to set this to yes as public, and you want to give it a name. That name there is going to be what shows up in Power BI. So here, I'm also going to go in here, and this is where I link the aggregate measure I just created to the aggregate data entity. Okay, the key with the aggregate measure and the key with the aggregate data entity is it's just what it says. The way I think of it is the aggregate measure is basically the query, okay, and the aggregate data entity is the view. So it's just kind of another level. The other nice thing about this aggregate data entity, and you can just drag and drop just like you would a query, a view where you populate the fields, but this also shows up in SQL, which is really nice because it helps me check the data a little bit easier. Okay, so once I have all my fields in place, okay, I also need to create this key, okay, and that the key is really, it allows you to kind of aggregate the data further to say, hey, this is how many rows I want, this is what I want to sum by, and you need to make sure you set that up. Okay, so in the next part here, we're going to go ahead and open up our Power BI desktop. This is a free download. You can download this online, and make sure you log in. Make sure you sign into your to the account with the domain that you log into 365 for operations with. Okay, so I went ahead and signed in. Okay, basically, if you notice here, I'm going to go get data, and we're going to pull it from an OData feed. Okay, so with the OData feed, you're going to go back to your 365 environment and go ahead and copy just the main string from your URL. You paste that in, and then you're going to do backslash, and you're going to do data. Okay, this will give you access to any aggregate data entity that you have access to. Okay, so I go ahead and do that, and this is where I then can go in and grab the aggregate data entity I want based off of the name that I used there on the aggregate data entity in Visual Studio. Okay, this is a great piece of functionality. Really, ideally, from a functional perspective, this is where I like to start. Okay, the vision is that you already have all these models pre-built with connections and everything, and they're already connected to the right aggregate data entities. I just want you to understand, though, that, hey, the invoice journal that we're about to bring in here, the box we just checked, and we brought in the vendor master, that aggregate data entity just equals the grid. It's the same grid that we showed in the functional section. So we always start from the functional and work our way over to the technical. And then we always end back with the functional. That's my philosophy, okay? And if you notice here, this is just a pivot table, or this is just a drag and drop situation, okay? We want to try to build these models, and I actually I created with this one before we jumped in, but basically this is kind of a little bit more of a completed dashboard here. The last thing I was going to show you, and this is my favorite functionality, is the slicer. Okay, so I brought in the vendor group and I changed it to a slicer. So now when I go in and slice, it's going to slice all of these. I mean, I've got a bar chart, I've got a tile, I've got a table, and we're going to go into next time a little bit more about this. But really, I just want to show you how we get the data out first. In the next episode, we're gonna show how we publish out to Office 365. Okay, but I do want to show you here. Let's number one rule of reporting is always, hey, we need to make sure we tie it back. So I'm going to go ahead and filter this down by vendor 1001. Okay. And if I was doing this the right way, I would have dumped everything out of this grid, and then I would have checked USMF as a company. But it's really important that you look at just to make sure that whatever data you're bringing into Power BI, that it validates against some grid, some report, something in AX that you're trying to pull from. The beauty of this, though, is that I've got 27 legal entities. This will tie out to the 27 legal entities, which makes it really nice that you're trying to pull from. The beauty of this, though, is that I've got 27 legal entities. This will tie out to the 27 legal entities, which makes it really nice. So in the next episode, we will show you how we take that dashboard and how we publish that up to both our mobile phone and to other users in the organization, and how we can kind of get the return on investment and kind of get that functionality that we've always dreamed of having with Dynamics.
Dynamic Chatter's 5 favorites.
In 3, 2. Welcome back to Dynamics Chatter. I'm AJ Smith. I'm going to lead the way in the final segment of the show.
Yeah, I just want to thank all 3 people that are still, watching, listening, and liking the show. We appreciate you, all 3 of you.
Hey, we've got good stuff still to come in the final 6 minutes. We've got Chad's 5 favorite things he's looking forward to bringing to you in the pod, and I've got my 5 favorite things about Chad Allen Carnes.
Yeah. So when I was
Allen is not one of them. Knowing his middle name isn't one of them. That's how exciting
thanks.
this is.
So when we talked pre-show and you told me that you weren't going to tell me what the Fab Five were, and I was concerned. I mean, obviously, when you told me that I didn't have anything to be concerned about, I really should have been worrying, is what you're saying.
I mean, I'm here for you, man.
Okay.
I'm here for the pod. I'm here for the pod. So I'm going to start us off.
All right.
I'm going. We're going to break it down. We're going to take it from Casey Kasem style all the way down to your number 1.
Gosh, now we're really skewing old.
Oh, I know. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Here we go. The weekly top 40. All right. Just in case any of our audience ever wants to invite Chad and I out to your golfing outing.
Yes.
Chad,
we play golf for free, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We actually might pay you to go play golf with you. So
Fair enough. Chad claims to be a 14. This is what we like to call in the industry a bagging type situation.
No, man, I'm playing terrible. Like I can't keep the ball in the fairway. Like I had 6-3 putts this weekend. Like something's got to give.
Fair point.
So yeah, I am not only am I a legit 14, I'm probably a legit 17 right now.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts.
Well, Chad, fire away with your number 5.
No, so the number one thing, it's really number one thing, I guess, is fun. That's the number one thing. I want to have fun with this. I hope people are entertained by this. I hope that when I do a modeling session on site or with the client, I always feel like I need to entertain you and educate you. And hopefully that comes through, and hopefully that passion comes through, and that's my number one thing.
And I just want to chime in and say, just like this podcast, Chad gets better with every minute you're with him. So get excited that when you meet him, might be terrible, might be awful.
I always thought it was a bell curve age. Like at some point, I start going the other direction. Right? I mean,
diminishing returns of Chad Carnes.
Yeah.
No, we're all the way up. We're all the way up. All right, number 4 for me going down. I'm sad to say that Chad's father didn't step up to the plate when it came to one of the more important things to teach a man, and that's how to properly burn. Well, he taught him how to burn it. I know that.
Yes.
How to grill like a man.
I know where you're going with this. I do. Yeah. He also taught me how to undercook chicken. That's always fun at a party.
Hey.
When somebody cuts into that chicken and it's still just raw, right down there's nothing worse than that.
Little chicken sushi there for the kids. Yeah. Always safe. Safe.
Well, thank you so much for that. I mean, I think the next thing is for me is community. I want to build a place where everybody's welcome. We let you into our lives. I'd like to be a part of your lives, but really a community where people can come with questions or with answers, where we can have a dialogue about where we go and what's possible in the new world of Dynamics 365 for operations.
Nice. Excited about that. I'm also excited to tell all the listeners the next one on my list. Before I met Chad Carnes, I met a very, very smart and funny lady from Fritch, Texas, Stephanie Elizabeth May.
Oh, yeah. That should be number. I'm gonna tell her that wasn't number 1. I can't believe how is that not? How do you not classify that as number 1?
Oh, it gets better.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna well, she's not watching, so we're in good shape, right? You're safe. There's no way. There's no way that our wives are watching this. But
love you, Steph.
I think the next thing for me on my list would be I want to create something that has great content, great guests. When I started prepping for the show, I try to consume every kind of version of a podcast that I could, all the way from like Pod State of America. This show Scenes with Tony Kornheiser, Adam Carolla, which is the number 1. And what I found is like you got to have good content and you got to have good guests, but then you got to have good chemistry, which is why I brought you on, H.
Thank you.
I brought you on because you don't know anything about Dynamics 365 for operations, do you?
I know it's a button on my administrative console on Office 365.
There you go.
I know it's there.
That's more than some know. But the reason is I wanted to bring you on because like if I can explain it to you and you understand it, like I can explain it to anybody. And the chemistry that I want to develop, we've been doing things like this since we were 18 years old. So that's really the next piece that I want to bring.
Speaking of when we were 18 years old, so imagine first time I met Chad, I want you to imagine the beautiful Texas sky. I want you to imagine maybe some Creed in the background, and imagine Chad Allen Carnes rolling up in a sweet T-Bird.
Oh man, that was the best car I ever owned, by the way. Car. Yeah, that the transmission just fell apart. It was a Pontiac Firebird with T-tops, and I mean, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was doing about 65 miles an hour down the road, and I forgot to lock the T-top in, and it was like a scene out of like Fast and Furious 12, where the hood just came flying, and it shattered. It just shattered. And the best part was my dad was really upset at me. 2 weeks later, my dad had like this old Corvette, did the same thing. He forgot to lock down the top, and it was the worst. But I love that car. I love that car.
That's a great car.
And I'm still convinced that's the only reason that my wife went out with me in college was because she loved that car too. So I think
sweet ride.
Yeah, it was the only one. So I guess the next thing for me is with this is I want to bring different opinions. I want to bring different areas. I want to bring people on that have a different perspective. I want to be more than just the developer coming on talking about the technical specs of whatever it is in Microsoft Dynamics. I want this to be something just different, and that's really my fourth goal.
My final thing.
Oh dear.
Something I'm really excited about.
I am so glad we only have one more.
We're trying to build a community.
We could probably do like a 50-minute show just on like your, like the 5 random things about you. Like that would be fun. Like we'll have to I'm gonna figure out how to work that in. So.
Yeah, we'll do the explicit tag for that podcast. But don't worry, kids. If you want to see what your number one Dynamics consultant looked like and how he rock and rolled back in the day, you can search the internet. It's out there. There is video of a band called Grosse Pointe Heartache. Rockin' and roll.
Oh, I forgot that was our band phase where we were in that band, and then
we were gonna make it big.
We broke up over creative differences, or maybe because our keyboard player / best vocalist got sent off to Afghanistan. She got she was in the army, so maybe that's why. But we love her. Big shout out to Monica. But anyway, yeah. So the last thing, Age, that I want to do is I just want to come together every week and hang out with my best friend. You know what I mean? Like I want to come. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, actually, my second best friend, since Stephanie can't be here, and I asked.
Stephanie's getting crushed in this podcast.
I asked 8 other people to do this, and finally, no one, everybody said no. So that's why I was like, well, AJ will do it. So no, but I really just want to come hang out with you, catch up on life, maybe entertain a few people. And that's really the last thing, is just really give me an excuse to talk to you every couple of weeks or so.
Right on. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. We're excited to do this every week with you.
Very excited.
We're excited to bring guests on next show, so you don't have to look at our faces much anymore.
Yeah, no, this will be the worst show. So it can only get better from here. And what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to open up the end of the show for the mailbag. So please email us at dynamics with an S chatter @gmail.com. You can hit us up at Twitter, Dynamics Chatter on Twitter. But let us know your thoughts. Let us know your opinions. We will, if it's decent, if it's funny, if it's smart and funny, we will read it. We'll read it on the air. That's my promise. That's my guarantee. The other thing I'd like to start is we're trying to figure out what we're going to call AJ. I was going to call him Dr. Turtle. That's really what I wanted to call him. But
hard veto.
But please email in best names for AJ. We're going to name AJ by the end of September. So
AJ's a pretty good name, but we'll see what the audience says.
Yep. So please send in your best names for the producer and co-host here, AJ.
Right on. Well, thanks for having me, Chad.
Hey, man.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. All right, buddy. Well, hey, we're out. Episode in the books.
Cash it out.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you guys next time on Dynamics Chat.